All right, y'all. Peace. What is good? Ephraim here. We back at it, man. I'm still in a rental. It's actually a Mitsubishi, not a Mazda. But nonetheless, we're going to get back to it, man. Last time I was just talking with y'all, we mentioned the liminal space, right? The space in between. This time around, I want to talk to y'all a little bit about productivity and how, for me specifically, how I've been able to maintain my productivity getting into the start of the year, right? And that being said, I will say, an interesting talking point, and I feel like that something that comes up in a lot of conversations I've had with people. When we talk about success, a lot of people tend to start with their goals, right? We always think about, what are your long-term or maybe even short-term, right? 5-year, 10-year goals. Now, I think it's very important, especially for a sense of, you could say inspiration or motivation, whatever your preference is, like to have these different goals, and it really helps with the drive, right, for us to be productive, to know what is the destination, like what are we striving for, what is it that we're trying to reach. But for me specifically, I like something I've taken away from books like Atomic Habit, right, is having things that you do regularly in place, which are your habits, right, which becomes, a part of our frequency, what we do frequently. And ultimately, I'll say building a system. Because my thing is like having a system in place, I feel like it goes, goals, habits, system. And there's probably some gaps you can fill in between. But really committing to this, it's been a part of my strategy. And I found that to be really vital for me. Like one of the things that kept coming up over and over, even getting into the year, starting off, coming from last year, it was like, how can you be successful without having any real strategy? And I think that's the thing that happens, right? Even when we have goals, right? A lot of times we want to reach something, but we have no strategy on how are we going to get here. Hence, right, me fulfilling my commitment, I'm like, I want to be here with y'all today. I'm going to make some content, man, and even pushing myself, stretching myself towards expansion. It's like, how else am I going to move past this in between, right? How else am I going to grow outside of the liminal space? And pretty much it's just whatever constraints or limitations that I've given myself in the past, whatever restrictions I've kept myself confined in. Typically this comes from, right, when I think about all the things of like neuroscience and just how our mind behaves, these are things that our ego uses to keep us in place and really to protect us ultimately. So if I just stay right here, right, if I'm just in this little box, is a square, maybe I'll put it this way so y'all can see my geometry, it's safe here, right? But as soon as I start to move like outside, or if I expand even on either side, like the box is here but I'm going outside the box, that is uncomfortable, quite literally. Because even when you think about anytime you've outgrown something, like you're outgrowing clothes or you're outgrowing like shoes, for instance, if I have my foot in a shoe and it's just getting bigger and bigger as I'm growing older, like each day, each week, each year, I can't fit in it any. Like I can only force my foot into that shoe for so long. So just doing things, I really say, like, recently it's been uncomfortable for me to stay in the same position, and I realize that's the quality not everyone has. One of the things that really inspired me was like the end of the year, I was reading this book from 50 Cent, actually, or from Curtis Jackson, and it's not the one with Robert Greene, not the 50th Law, but I think it's maybe his most recent book. I was listening to the audio of it and he narrates it, however, and one of the key things that stood out to me was when he was saying, like, even when he got shot 9 times, right, he's like, I'm not the type of person who can be comfortable with my fear. Meaning he can't reside in a place of fear just because it's comfortable, right? he needs to continue to push himself to grow past that fear, to move outside of it. So that's why he was like, "Hence, yeah, when I got shot, I'm still gonna get my workout, and I'm this buff diesel swole guy. Like, I got this image, but also like it's my health, it's my livelihood. Like, my mental and physical, literally runs on his morning jogs, like, and just being in the gym in general." Lifting weights. So whether that's making sure a chauffeur, it's 3 a.m., I'm coming from a party, I'm coming from an event, from the studio, I'm gonna hit the gym. But one of the things he was talking about, like being in his neighborhood where the people who actually, shot him were stationed, they usually on this block, right? Say you think about New York City or something like that. And me being from like upstate New York, I kind of get the sentiment of like certain areas, certain blocks, people are gonna linger. And so if you're coming around this area, you might run into some conflict. And basically 50 was like, I'm still gonna jog, I'm still gonna go outside, I'm not gonna let these people stop me from doing what I know I'm supposed to do for myself, most importantly, because I promised myself. And he literally I guess I'm kind of like not trying to leave it out, but I'm just saying what he did was like, it might seem extreme to some people, but he talks about he actually had, a firearm, and he took bandages and he wrapped his hand like, like he had a cast or something, like he had broken his wrist, and he was a boxer. So like most people not gonna think twice about it. They might think, oh, he just got wraps, or if it's extra big, he's injured. And he literally had a gun that he would jog around with. And when I heard that in his book, I'm like, yo, that's so crazy. But like, it was fascinating to me because it makes me as a person find comfort in thinking like, dang, like maybe I'm not that crazy. Like maybe what I do isn't that extreme. As somebody who's highly successful like Curtis Jackson, this is one of the steps he took just to make sure he could be at his highest level. He could perform and execute on the highest level. And quite literally, man, the definition of by any means necessary, or personification. Shout out, man. Salute Curtis Jackson. But anyway, the point is just for me, what I have been doing, staying true to the goals that I set out, right? And I really feel that's what it is, like regardless of whatever happens, right? So I talked about, I was in a car accident. It was pretty mild, but it definitely took me back. Like even mentally, a lot of people's first reaction, the psychoanalysis behind that is like, yo, I was in this position where I was on the road and I was potentially harmed, right? My vehicle was harmed, like this whole negative situation came about, right? Now I'm gonna be extra cautious, I'm gonna be extra aware, and I might not even wanna go on the road again just because of the fear that it might happen, that it, that somehow, drivers and ATLs is real wild, right? Somebody else might come and do the same thing, come swipe me from behind. But my thing is, no, man. I'm out here driving. I do DoorDash and Uber Eats deliveries. Like, for one, I'm not about to let a mishap stop me from getting to some money. You feel me? I have insurance. It was taken care of. Regardless of if they're making a claim or if my insurance is making a claim, it's like either way it was covered, and that's the point of insurance, right? So that's just the logic. Okay, this happened. How do I mitigate the risk? How do I move on? How do I do better? And another part of that is also me just having a vehicle. I'm at a new MMA gym. Like, I was there this morning. I'm about to go back for a class later in the night because I'm just like, my productivity, right? A large part of it resides around the fact that my name is Ephraim, right? Given name Ephraim, but Ephraim is the name I've given myself, and that's for me to be and exist. And also that first letter E is the fifth letter of the alphabet, and even what 5 represents, man, all about change and masculine on top, feminine on bottom. It's a duality nature, but also I would say that E is all about motion, right? So we say E, It's like confirmation. They beeping with me. Excuse me, y'all. They tapped in. But no, it's all about emotion and continuity. So the fact that right, even now we continue, we keep going, and it's really an attitude of, I'm not going to let these things stop me, right? I'm not going to let something that's crazy. They literally like test it. It's like the universe is testing me as I'm saying this, but I'm going to power through whatever situation, and I'm gonna continue to succeed. But as long as I have momentum and I'm moving, that's also comforting to me, right? That is really what is I say affirming, like a real affirmation, and something that reinforces like, okay, I'm moving in the right direction. And just something I'm learning about mobility and flow in general, it's like energy is, is all about movement. Energy and motion, you feel me, is emotion, right? So when we allow things to flow, and whether that be emotions and feelings, and we don't try and restrict them, that's another thing that it's just been a major lesson for me, like not wanting to restrict myself and how I feel and my expression. I'm an artist, I'm a creator, right? And it's something I've known since I was in school. By the time I was 14, 15, I told myself, I'm like, man, I'm never gonna lie to myself. I literally made a promise, like 14, 15-year-old me promised to myself and to the future version that I can exist in now. Like, I'm always going to be honest. I'm gonna be truthful to who I am and how I feel. And so with that, I feel like it's definitely a purity and a genuineness that comes through in my expression. And even that somebody, man, a guy see me today, he stopped me. I was going to get gas this morning, and he's like, he's like, what's up? Like, peace, man. Like, you got that light, you got that light. And he's like, peace. And I'm heading out. He's like, peace, God, man. Like, keep doing you, take care, whatever. But I'm just like, I wasn't even smiling or nothing. Like, I was just walking in, going about my day, and I probably was like thinking about something. And a lot of times I just do my best not to ruminate, right? Not to hyper fixate or focus on the negative, to think about, okay, what am I achieving and what have I done well, right? What am I accomplishing and where am I reaching? But just the fact that somebody who doesn't even know me, and this is pretty commonplace, like somebody called me right before I was about to do this video. I'm going into the gym, and he's like, hey, like, you drive? And he seen me like just in this rental car, and it's a nice car, but he's like, you drive? And I'm just like, how does this person know that? And I'm like, yeah, I do food deliveries and that. He's like, okay, you ever do the truck? And I'm just like, oh, I don't have a CDL. But he's like, oh, you don't need one, but you can drive this one. He's like, I'm actually looking for drivers. And he's like, you have a good energy about you. And this is all literally within like a 7-day timeline, man. Like, literally like might be 7-8 days that this all happened. And it's commonplace. And so my thing is just like, wow, looking from the outside perspective inward, it's like, what do people see in me that I know I do see and acknowledge it for myself, but something I'm not always being aware of? And that's key and important to me, because I'm big on awareness and self-awareness too. But I guess just being mindful of, I don't even know exactly how to say it, but presence, aura. I would say following through with my system. It's really a confirmation to know that I am gaining traction. I am gaining results. And if anything, I feel like that's the confirmation that God gives me, right? All throughout the universe, all these different signs on a day-to-day basis of like, yo, keep going, you're going in the right direction. And it might not always look like it's right in front of you, but it's like faith, man. Faith has been a constant message. It's one of my, literally like my number one value is my faith and spirit. But knowing, even by definition or right biblical sense, right now, faith is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen. And I was just speaking with a friend about this of how that is like poetry. Like, now faith is the substance, it's substantial foundation for things that we hope for and the evidence of what is actually not seen with our eyes. So we don't let that go over your head type, man. Like, rewind that. It's like, and that was such a big scripture. My mom would always instill that in me as a child, as a kid. But even you think about Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich, and many of these wealth success books, they talk about, and shout out my guy who grew up in the same, well, I grew up in a certain church, and he was in college, he joined the church, and we both kind of grew up in it. But he's now a preacher at that same church and plays a big role in it. But we were talking recently, and even when I was telling him that about faith and like all these different books and how we have faith in the unknown or the unseen, he was saying, well, yeah, you can have faith in anything. And just because you have faith, it does not necessarily mean that that faith is in God. So even when I think about that, it's like, what am I giving my faith and my attention to? And another lesson that I've been witnessing and seeing is like, when it comes to the idea or the energy frequency of worry, it does no real benefit to, I'll at least say, like, continuously to ruminate, to make it a habit that we're worrying, right? Because in a moment we might, okay, use discernment, use our judgment. What is the pros? What is the cons? Let's mitigate risk, right? That's one thing. When I talk about a person such as myself and maybe, well, I know many others who we talk about clinical diagnoses like anxiety, depression, and all these different things that affect people nowadays, we get into the habit of rumination. And that's when we continuously give this energy to worry, not knowing that is what we are manifesting. We are creating a manifestation of worry, fear, insecurity, whatever it be. Versus if I actually take an intentional time out my day, I'm listening to audiobooks, right? I'm going to the gym, taking a walk when I need it. I'm outside a Guitar Center right now, one of my favorite places. I'm at another one of my favorite places. I'm eating healthy, like I'm at Whole Foods. All these things that are not energy drainers, but they're really giving life, right? They're energy contributions, if anything. Like, energetically, this is a positive contribution to my life. So it is an asset and not a liability to my life and my everyday existence. Because that's one of the things that I'm even like learning about, just how energy works in general, right? And on our daily basis, we're in whatever given mood, we have different hormones that fluctuate, and it's knowing that there's a finite amount of energy that we have. And the biggest thing, which I'm a huge proponent of, right, how we eat, it's literally like the primary factor of our human existence, along with drinking water. Like, just being a person, it's like, okay, we need to eat to survive, and the food that we eat is literally our fuel. So a lot of people don't really give thought to that, but yes, I have high standards. I'm very bougie when it comes to how I eat generally. As sometimes, like, I'll indulge in certain things. It sound like Drewski. I'll indulge, and I might have some vegan junk food or something, but like, yeah, being more plant-based and plant-based with the lifestyle, and just eating the vegan foods too, where it's just dairy-free and no meat. It allows me to cut out a lot of non-essentials and things that are actually causing harm to my growth. Like, they're actually stunning my growth, because I realize I can go and eat some fried food. Like, some people drink, alcohol, drugs, whatever. I'm grateful that, like, I don't get into that, because it's a slippery slope, right? Anything that we do repetitively, it just becomes habitual. And we don't realize how something little like that, it can be, whether if it is different substances, but for me, I know more so if I eat terribly. Like, there's certain things that I don't eat anymore. Like, for instance, chicken. If I eat some chicken, man, it just makes me feel a way energetically and hormonally that I'm not accustomed to. Like, being real, and this has nothing to do with being vegan. I'm not a vegan identifying person. It's just my health is my wealth. And if I eat chicken, that's the main thing that I realized. Like, all jokes aside, if I eat it, it's going to make me feel anxious. It's going to give me an excessive amount of fatigue that I'm not accustomed to with fruits and vegetables. I'm going to lack clarity in my mind and the circulation. And then I'm going to feel heavy because I'm going to actually feel the animal inside of like my digestive system. I'm going to feel it like sitting in in my bowels, man, in my intestines and everything. So it's just crazy when you have more awareness. Is like how you get in tune with your body. It's like you can actually feel these things like moving, and it's like, yeah, when I'm eating leafy greens, that's not the same feeling. You know, I feel kinetic, right? I feel emotion, I feel energetic, I feel electric when I'm eating these fruits and these veggies. So different things like that is how I'm being intentional about what are the best habits for me to accumulate, and what are the old habits that were actually, you know, again, going from the previous stage to the new version of me, right? The highest version, new year, new me. It's like in between is mitigating that risk and chopping the fat, cutting out all the excess of things that I do not need and I do not desire for myself. So that has been primarily what I have been doing to stay productive and hold myself accountable. So that's my update. I want to tap in real quick, let y'all know, and I'm gonna see y'all again. We'll be back for more. Peace.